Welcome to Extra Blue. I'm your host, Elena Soneson. Today's guest is U.S. ski team athlete JC Schoonmaker. JC grew up in Tahoe City, California, where he skied for Auburn Ski Club and Sugar Bowl Academy. From there, he continued his career at the University of Alaska Anchorage, and he now trains full-time up in Anchorage with APU. Over the past several years, JC has established himself as one of the top sprint skiers in the world. He represented Team USA at the 2022 Beijing Olympics and again at the 2026 Cortina Olympics. In Cortina, he finished 8th in the men's classic sprint. However, in 2023, JC had earned his first career World Cup podium in Östersund, Sweden, with a third-place finish in the classic sprint. This was a huge breakthrough result for him at the time that really helped mark a new era for U.S. men's sprinting. In this conversation, we talk about how JC processed that World Cup podium, some of the pressure, the expectations, and the challenge of trying to back up a breakthrough performance. JC shares how he's worked with a sports psychologist to manage that pressure, stay present in sprint heats, and continue growing as both an athlete and a person. I hope you enjoy my conversation with JC. This podcast is sponsored by Gear West. Gear West is your one-stop shop for anything you need for cross-country skiing. That includes gear, equipment, training and racing strategy, and cross-training tools too. As we transition into the summer months, don't forget to storage wax your skis and swap out your pole tips for roller ski ferrules. Roller skiing is such a perfect way to stay in shape for the ski season when there's no snow. It can also be a bit more dangerous, so make sure that you're always wearing high visibility and that your wheel speed is in check. Gear West can help you feel confident on your wheels all summer long. Personally, I've been preparing for some running events this summer, specifically a half marathon, and Gear West has all the running shoes for any type of runner. No matter what speed or running surface, Gear West can provide a gait analysis and find you a pair of shoes that fits right for your goals. They've also got fueling tips and a variety of fueling sources, including running vests and backpacks for your long adventures. Still focused on the winter months? Gear West can help you with ski selections this year. The team works directly with ski service teams in Europe to pick out race skis specific for you. You can find all of this in store or online at gearwest.com. Welcome to the Extra Blue podcast, JC. Thank you so much for being here, and you're fresh off a flight from Norway. So, how are you feeling after a travel all around the world?
Yeah, thanks, Elena. Feeling pretty good. Excited to be here. Not feeling too jet lagged. I got a good night's sleep last night, and yeah, big travel day yesterday. But feeling pretty refreshed and excited to be back in Alaska. So yeah, stoked to be here.
Nice. Time will tell after, I feel like the first night of sleep after a big travel day like that is always okay because you're so tired, but then maybe tonight or tomorrow, the jet lag could be tough.
Yeah, definitely. That's how it usually is for me. Like usually the first night is a really like deep sleep, like just dreaming like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I wake up like insanely hungry. Like this morning, I just crushed like so much breakfast. And then it's kind of like the next couple nights that are like the bigger challenge. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know you were just in Norway for an all men's ski camp. You guys were up on snow on one of it's not a glacier, but it's snow field. Is that what they call it in
Yeah.
northern Norway?
Mhm. Yeah, we were in Sonjefell, and we actually had some of the U.S. ski team women there too. So
Oh, okay.
it was kind of like supposed to be a men's camp, but then Bend got canceled this year because of low snow. So we had Haley and Sammy there, and yeah, it was a sweet camp. It was I've never been there before. Really fun, like 5 kilometers of pretty sweet skiing, and they salt the trails twice a day there.
Oh, wow.
Someone was telling us that they use like 500 kilograms of salt every day to salt the trails. So it's a pretty crazy operation, but it made for like really good skiing. Like it was super solid and firm, and yeah, like really high quality training. So super fun camp.
Cool. How does it compare to Eagle Glacier in Alaska that you're used to?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, since they salt, it's a little bit firmer. So it's like, and the course is a little easier too. So it's kind
Mm.
of like nicer for just skiing easy. Like on the glacier, sometimes you kind of have to hammer because it's like so soft and the hills are pretty hard. So to like
Mm,
ski with good technique, you kind of have to like ski pretty hard. So this was
hmm
nice for just like kind of that for like that aspect of training. But the glacier is like I think cool because it has kind of some more like fun downhills and some more fun climbs to push yourself on. So like for intervals, I like the glacier better, but for like the easy skiing, Soniafell was kind of I'd say probably best in the world you could do in this time of year. Is really insane.
Very cool. So,
Mhm.
would you recommend or would you go back again?
Yeah, I would recommend, and I would go back again. It's pretty sweet too, just like how you're living, like we literally live right on the ski trails. So we were just eating breakfast, walking out skiing, walking back to the hotel, and it's just like such a nice setup. The rooms
Yeah.
were a little hot, so it was like a little tough to
Oh,
sleep up there, but other than that, it was just like yeah, super sweet, and I would definitely recommend people to go check it out. And we had some pretty nice weather too, which helps. I've heard it like can be a bit more rainy up there. We had a couple rainy days, but for the most part, it was pretty rad.
very cool. And were there other
Mhm.
teams training there too?
Yeah, it was mostly like younger Norwegian teams and a
Mm,
younger Swedish team. So the first day we were there, Team Akerdali was there, but then
hmm
they left pretty much yeah, they did like their last session when I did my first one. And then after that it was kind of a lot of like yeah, junior teams from Norway and Sweden. So it wasn't like too crowded or anything. Definitely like fun to have some other people skiing around, but yeah.
Nice. Did you have
hmm
a goal for the camp or something that you were focusing on specifically, or was it kind of just time on snow?
For me, it was kind of just time on snow. My goal was to just like not ski too fast, basically, just to like
Mm-hmm.
try to. I feel like sometimes it's easy to for me to feel like, oh, when I'm on snow, I want to like ski with really good technique and make sure like every movement I do is super high quality. And sometimes I ski too fast when I'm trying to reach that goal. And so this time I was really trying to just be like, all right, I can still ski with good technique, like while skiing slow and like keeping it like kind of keeping the heart rate a little bit lower. And yeah, it felt like I did a good job of that. It definitely made it easier that it was like they were icing and the tracks were
Yeah.
like so hard and fast. So that was a lot.
Ni-
Yeah, that helped
Yeah.
out.
And you guys had, I don't know if it was the full wax crew, but like the wax truck was there with wax techs there too. So was that pretty helpful?
Yeah, I mean that was super nice. Like we didn't have
Yeah.
to basically touch our skis at all. They were just waxing them for us. Like had
hmm
super good kick every single day, and yeah, I did like a little bit of testing with my tech, which was awesome. And they had the grind truck there also, so they
mm
were kind of doing some work on that. And yeah, kind of fun because we don't usually get to see those guys like the wax techs and that whole crew during the summer. So kind of like fun to catch up with them and not be like fully absorbed in like a race weekend and like have the nerves and everything, but to just be able to like hang out with them and like eat
Yeah.
dinner, like yeah, kind of shoot the shit with them was pretty fun.
Yeah, no kidding. Because usually, I mean, even when we are with them on the road, they are coming, they breakfast before we're even awake, and then they
hmm
have dinner after us, and they're just at the truck pretty much all day. It's hard to even like hang out with them much off the course. So that's fun that you got some quality time with that crew too.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Well, beyond like the start of first training camp back at it, how was your spring and early summer for you? What were you up to this spring to like disconnect or reflect or anything?
Yeah, it was pretty good. The spring in Anchorage was a little weird. We kind of like didn't have the best weather. Normally, the spring here is like so nice. You get like just tons of like bluebird days and you get like good crust skiing, good backcountry skiing. And this spring was a little bit more kind of like cloudy and we had a lot of snow. So there was like lots of good skiing to be had on like groomed trails. And normally I kind of like to kind of get off of those after spending all winter skiing like
Mhm.
5K loops and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was kind of fun for me this spring. I just kind of with the weather didn't get to do a ton of crust skiing or backcountry skiing, but I kind of just hung out, did some skiing on the trails at Kincaid and Hillside, and was kind of getting out for some skis like that just when I wanted to. Didn't push it too hard, which was nice, and played some pickup basketball, which is always kind of a fun thing I like to do in the spring with some of the APU guys here. And then yeah, I did one little trip and went down to Mexico for a little surf trip, which was
Ooh.
pretty sweet. And that was like kind of the week where was like, oh, nice to really get away from skiing for a little bit,
Yeah.
like fully get a reset. And then kind of just got back into it, and we had a ton of skiing like all the way through May. So we were driving like an hour 15 from Anchorage. There's Hatcher Pass, which is a little bit higher in elevation, and you kind of drive up there, and they have like kind of like, yeah, about 4K maybe of ski trails. So they had that until May 27th this year, and we were kind of going up
Nice.
there 3 or 4 days a week, which was a pretty sweet way to like start the training season, especially because in town it was kind of like rainy and cold, so my motivation to roller ski was super low. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good spring, and I still like, even with all the skiing, I still felt pretty like rested and felt like mentally recharged, which is the main goal for me always at the end of
Yeah,
April.
nice.
So that was nice.
Have you even taken out your roller skis yet? It sounds like you've just been on snow the whole time.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, there was a few weeks in there, like before I went to Norway, and
Hmm.
that I got some roller skiing in. But definitely, if yeah, I probably have not roller skied nearly as much as like a lot of other people have at this point. So
Yeah.
that is one thing I'm kind of like looking forward to. Is like now it's kind of like feels like been spring all the way up until what is it, June 22nd. So I'm pretty excited to now like get into summer and just like get away from the snow for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think yesterday was technically the first day of summer, or today
Yeah,
is like
true.
with the, so you're right on time. It's perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Well, okay, so you kind of talked about like disconnecting and reflecting after the big season, and I kind of want to talk about your experience with the Olympics. And I know this was already your second Olympics, but I'm curious, just like coming off of an Olympic year, do you feel like does it take any longer to like process what happened that season, or do you feel like there's more of a high that you have to come down from now because it was so hyped up to begin with?
I would say there's definitely a little bit of that. For me though, it maybe kind of came like right after the Olympics this year.
Hmm.
That sort of like decompression and all of that like built up energy through the whole year kind of just released like right after Italy for me. So I didn't really adjust to it during the spring. It was kind of more like the rest of the season after the Olympics was just kind of like this blur of like
Hmm.
it wasn't really racing super fast. I just felt like I was kind of out of it, and the brain was foggy. And yeah, there was definitely that huge release. But um, it's for sure real. Like the Olympics kind of just take a lot out of you. Like it's draining. The whole experience was awesome, but it's like yeah, the you just build it up so much throughout the year, and then it's just done, and it's like this crazy sensation. So I felt pretty recovered for that for the spring, which was nice. But like yeah, the end of the season for me was like a little tough, I think, and I maybe needed to, like looking back, needed to take a little bit more like easy days right after the Olympics to maybe like account for that sort of like load and just like absorb the Olympics. And instead,
Hmm.
I kind of like tried to get back into training and be like, all right, I want to have a really good end to the season. I think maybe that actually was like not super effective because then I just got more tired and just kind of like had a little bit of a steady decline. But overall, it was yeah, it was definitely a crazy year with the Olympics and all that. But that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Well, how were you feeling? Let's go further back then. Like, how were you feeling going into the Olympic period, kind of like the start of this season, and I guess your midwinter prep going into the races in Cortina?
Yeah, I felt all right. I was not really having like the season I had hoped for heading into the Olympics. It was kind of like the start of the year was really tough with like I just had some weird stuff. Like I had all three sprints in period one World Cups. I crashed and broke a pole, and it was just like such a weird start with that happening that I never really like. It felt like I never really found my like flow. Never really got to like show or like myself or like figure out for myself like how my shape really was in those sprint races. And then it was like Tour de Ski, which is kind of like hectic, and I felt like I was still kind of overcoming some of those challenges from period one, and so I felt all right. I ended up having like one solid sprint race in Gomes, like right before we went to the Olympics, and that kind of like gave me a little bit more confidence than I had earlier in the season, which was nice. But it was definitely a weird kind of like prep phase. I was felt confident. Like I really believed that I like, could have a good, and I was like, to preface all this, I was like focused a lot on the sprint at the Olympics. And so I was confident, like I felt like I had done good training and I could have a good sprint race there, but I was also just kind of like, there was a bit of uncertainty. Like it had been a weird season and wasn't really sure how it was going to go. So yeah, kind of heading in, I ended up having like a good pre-camp and went into to that sprint and like felt good, felt confident, and like overall I ended up being pretty happy with how it went. But there was definitely you always want a little bit more, especially at the Olympics. It's kind of like the mentality I feel like in the vibe is kind of like medal or bust, and you
Mm.
definitely feel that a little bit. But it was pretty special to like have a solid result that I felt was good and have my family there and everything like cheering and stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it is a little tricky that it's become such a narrative where it's like medal or bust at the Olympics when there are so many incredible performances that deserve to be celebrated. And even if they aren't, like if it isn't a medal, it almost isn't celebrated. And so uh I want to take some time today and celebrate the results that you did get at the Olympics. And you like you said, you had a really great race in Gomes, which was like 2 or 3 weeks right before the Olympics. And um, was it a top 10 in Gomes?
I think so. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like a weird race where I don't remember the result. I just remember I felt really good and I was
Okay,
really close
cool.
to making the final, but the
Mm.
bonus like fell right in front of me to go off the course, which was a bummer. But it was like one of those things where it's just like unlucky. But yeah, I felt good, and like that was what was
Mhm.
really nice about the race.
Yeah, yeah. And it's cool to then be able to bring that energy and momentum kind of into the Olympics. And then, in the classic sprint at the Olympics, you qualified 28th. So I'm curious, how did you feel after the qualifier in that in between before you were doing any of the rounds?
Yeah, totally. And that was like something that was really similar to like all the other themes of the winter was I was like I qualified 28th and I was like, "Oh man, like this is tough." Like you ideally want to like qualify a bit better than that to like have a little bit more confidence going into the heats. Like I was really close to not even making the heats, but I still just like I think kind of what was nice about the season was there was a lot of things like that happened, like crashes, qualifiers, but I was able to kind of like shift my focus and just be like, you know what, it doesn't really matter. Like I qualified 28th, but I'm gonna go race this heat anyways. Like it doesn't matter what I qualified. Like I'm in the quarterfinal, and kind of just went in there, and it wasn't like confidence like bursting from the seams, but I was able to like find a little bit of like, all right, like I can get this done. And that was, yeah. So that was kind of like similar to a lot of the other races where I just kind of had to like reshift the focus and like shake off that kind of thing that wasn't the best. And yeah, then the quarterfinal like was able to like find a way through, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and with that, were you able to build a little bit more confidence after the quarterfinal before you went into the next round?
Yeah, for sure. I was like, I felt really good about how the quarterfinal went. I was like not super great on the big hill in that sprint course, but was able to like hang on barely enough and like had a solid sprint finish, which gave me a lot of confidence for like in the semifinal. I was just thinking like, all right, I just need to hang on, just need to like stay with these guys, and like I think my finish can do it. And they ended up going really fast on the hill, and I let a little bit too much gap open up in the semifinal, but it was nice. Like I had the confidence and like felt like I was fighting to like ski into the final and just like needed that little bit extra juice, but it was almost there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so close.
Yeah.
Um, and you ended up kind of barely just missing the final then, but you had still had some really incredible, like throughout those two heats, you had a great performance and you were able to find that confidence through your racing in those heats. And you ended up eighth on the day, which like eighth at the Olympics is no joke. That's a huge deal. And I'm curious then, like, how did you reflect on that day in the moment? And then has that perception of how has that perception of it evolved at all over the last few months?
Yeah, I think like in the moment there was like no time to reflect on it really because like Ben got a silver medal and like that was just like the crazy part of that day. And it's not like I felt like overshadowed or anything. It was just like that was like so crazy. And it was just like a hectic thing that I think the whole team like we believed that could happen, but like it actually happening was just like still blew everyone's minds. And like that was just so crazy. So like in the moment I was like happy with my race, but I was also just like caught up in this whirlwind of just like Ben getting a silver medal, like crazy day and like all that. And then in the days to come, I was able to reflect on it and like I felt honestly like more disappointed than I thought I would have.
Mm.
I think like to be like super truthful, part of that was because like Ben got a medal and I didn't. Like so I was kind of just like even though it was like a solid race for me and you know it was better than a lot of my season went and like I felt good when I was out there, I was kind of just like, oh man, like I wish I had, you know, cracked through and done the thing that Ben had done. Like there was a little bit of me that was just like disappointed in myself. But I think like now looking at it, I think like that disappointment showed that I felt I could have gotten a medal. And I think that's like for me a good sign for the future and just like something that I'm proud of and gives me a lot of confidence because I think if I had just like gotten eighth and felt like that was like a really good result for me and that was the best I could have done and I was really happy with it, that would maybe show that I didn't really feel like I could have gotten a medal that day. And I think like now I see like even though I qualified 28th, I didn't have the best season, like to be able to feel like I could have gotten a medal on that day. Like had I done a few things different, had I, you know, just made a couple different decisions, like, you know, I think it was possible. And so now it's looking back on it, I'm like I'm stoked with it because of that. Like not necessarily because of the result, but because of like the way I raced and realizing that like there was a lot of learning that I could do from that day. And it was obviously like still incredibly happy for Ben. Like it was insane. And getting a medal was like kind of felt like a medal for the entire men's team. But for sure, there's like all those just crazy mixed emotions that come with the Olympics, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. I can only imagine it had to have been very conflicting internally to see that you were so close. And it was still a great result, but it was like you said, it's kind of medal or bust at the Olympics, which is not necessarily the healthiest outlook that I guess media and society puts on the event, but it kind of is the reality at this point. But it's really interesting to just see, you know, the progress that like you and Gus and Ben have all made over the last few years. And I mean, since you were all juniors, which is really cool to see that you've come through into US men's skiing together and as like the best of friends, which is really incredible. And um, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are the first of that crew to have a World Cup podium. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, in 2023. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was really crazy was so I was with the team. I was in Östersund, and you know I had tried to qualify that day. I didn't make it, so I went back to the hotel, and everyone on the team who was at the hotel then was watching that race. And you and Ben had a phenomenal day, and you both made it into the final in that race. And you two were kind of duking it out for a podium, you know, and you ended up going 3-4 and you came out in third and Ben came out in fourth and Gus was in the room watching with everyone and he had happy tears streaming from his face and he was so proud of you and also I think it was probably really motivating for him to be like I want to go do that too. I want to be in there
Yeah.
with them. And I'm sure then Ben was so stoked on his fourth, but also saw that you got third. And,
Mhm.
you know, he was like, well, I want to be on the podium, right? And so it's always like, it's really interesting to see that, and this goes beyond just the three of you, the whole men's team is, um, in a place where you do all inspire each other and motivate each other to get better every day. And it's really hard because you're each other's competitors too. And, um, you kind of sometimes want what the other person gets. And at the same time, you're so excited for them. So I guess I'm just curious, like, what are your reflections on all of that? I know that was a lot,
Yeah.
but like, how do you feel about being able to kind of do it together and work with each other to get better?
Mhm. Yeah, that's like a better way than I could have summed it up. Because like that's such a great example of where Ben on that day was probably felt so similar to how I felt at the Olympics. Like he also had a solid day and it was like a good breakthrough for him, but I'm sure he had like conflicting thoughts of like feeling happy for me and also feeling like bummed that he wasn't the one to do it first. And I think that's what's cool about this group is like we all recognize we are all like skiing is what we're doing. Like we all put so much energy into it. We all want to be the ones to like break the barrier, like be the first to do it. We're like competitive and but we're also recognize that like with that comes like some of us are going to be disappointed. Like not everyone can, win on every given day and not everyone is going to be like stoked with how the Olympics went or like a certain period of racing. And I think that's what's cool about the group is like we recognize that it's not just like we don't feel like we have to, be like fake being super happy for someone if we're not. Like usually we are really happy for them, but we feel like we can also like kind of save space for those other feelings of like disappointment and like people aren't bummed if you take some time to yourself to just like think over your own race and be a little bit disappointed, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I think part of that stems from just like being good friends. Like we're all
Hmm.
just have raced together for so long and known each other for so long that it just kind of is like it's pretty natural. And there is a little bit of work that goes along with it too, like just kind of working on the culture and talking about it and being open and communicating. But most of it kind of just stems from like natural friendships that we've built along the way, which is pretty cool. And to be in that environment where we're pushing each other and competitive is just really special.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like like the group of men on the team they, like you all bring your own personality, and when you put them all together, it's such a fun dynamic. And um, one, I think, a perfect example of this is I think back to, I think it was World Cup finals in Lati, um, in 2025. And it was you and Jack Young and maybe one other guy on the team all in one heat together. And during like the athlete introductions, you all, the camera comes on to you and gives you a shout out of who you are, and maybe says like, how many World Cup podiums you have. And you guys all did, like, some people just wave and say hi or blow a kiss or something. And you guys did this amazing, like, basketball montage throughout your introductions. And you guys were all so excited about, like, the, like, March Madness happening. And I'm just, like,
Mm-hmm.
that was, I think, such a perfect example of you guys bringing such good energy and like lightness to something that you still really care about, and it's cool to see that type of dynamic. And I'm also curious then, like, whose idea was that to do that?
Yeah, I can't remember whose idea that was. It is pretty cool. Like that was a funny day because it was the last sprint of the season. So it was kind of like sometimes you're just so tired at the end of a long season, you're just like ready to get it done. And that day was we all had kind of tough qualifiers. Like we were waiting we had all finished and we were waiting watching the results because there was like a lot of guys still coming through and we were like sitting like something like 25th, 26th, 27th, and we were slowly like getting bumped down a spot, and like there was like a couple more like Finnish nations groups guys who were started like super late in the start list, and so we were like worried like, oh man, we're probably not going to qualify. But we were kind of just sitting there like watching them come through, and then we realized we all qualified. We got barely squeaked in. We were like ended up 27, 28, 29, 30 because I think Kevin was actually there, so it was four of
Yeah.
us. And then somehow me, Jack, and Gus, we all got put in the same quarterfinal because we didn't have much choice since we were
Yeah.
picking last. And I think we were just like, all right, let's just do something funny. Like it's March Madness. Maybe we do the basketball thing because we were kind of like last sprint of the season. We didn't qualify great. There's nothing to lose. We're in a heat with Claybo and Shaunavon. So it's like usually people don't move on from that. But it was cool. We kind of like had that fun thing, but we were also like, you know what? Like, let's just take this race to Claybo and Shaunavon. Like, let's just be aggressive. Don't like, let's try not to do what everyone else does in quarterfinal one, which is just like let them lead and just like be super passive and just like try in the finish. But we kind of like Jack took it out super hard. We were like, let's just go for lucky loser, be super aggressive, and Jack was awesome. He like kind of in a way sacrificed himself, and me and Gus like both ended up getting through, which was pretty awesome. And yeah, that was like just a great example of kind of the men's team. Like even in a moment where we were kind of like not sure we were going to qualify, it wasn't a great like qualifier and wasn't a great start to the day. We kind of turned it into something else by kind of just like having fun, being light with it, but also still being like aggressive and just like being confident in ourselves. So yeah, that's kind of like one of those stories that has like all those elements of kind of that group of guys. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so fun, and I feel like it sums up just all of your like what you all bring to the team, and you bring this lightness and character and playfulness, yet also incredible strength, incredible discipline and belief also. And it's really cool to see the dynamic. And honestly, I think um because the ski team posted about it on social media with just like in the best reel ever, and it made me laugh so hard. I watched it probably 20 times that day because I was just like, this makes me smile and so happy just to watch it and see it. It was so fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to hear. That's what it's all about, I feel like. So,
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Well, so I kind of want to go back then to coming off of that classic sprint in Östersund where you did get the your first podium and you were kind of the first of that crew to get a podium. And that was back in the 2023-24 season. Um, and such a highlight, like so cool, so exciting. Like I told you, I mean, we were watching at the hotel and everyone just was like screaming and crying and so so excited for you all. But I know that coming off of a high like that, you'd think maybe you could just keep building the momentum. But sometimes that momentum, it doesn't always carry through in a linear fashion. And so I'm curious then, coming off of that first podium for you, what were the couple following years of training and preparation like? And how did you handle that, I guess, physically and also mentally?
yeah, that's a great question, and the way you said it is spot on. Like progress isn't linear, and I feel like I've really learned that since then. Because after that first podium, I really was just like just wanted to get back to the podium, and I was just like felt like I was. It gave me a lot of confidence, but in a way, it also kind of like felt like it put a weight on my shoulders that I maybe didn't even know was there at the time. To just like be like, all right, I need to get back on the podium. And I think part of that is maybe like you watch Clavo win like every single World Cup. And so you sort of think like, okay, if he's winning every World Cup, I get my first podium. Now I can podium every World Cup. And obviously that's not really how it works, but it just kind of like creates this false like narrative maybe or like expectation, I guess. And yeah, like since then the or the couple of years following that podium, it just felt like I was trying so hard to get back on the podium, like doing everything I could, but it just like wasn't really coming. And um that was pretty frustrating and like definitely kind of yeah, it was a bit of a like tough couple of years, and I still haven't gotten back onto World Cup podium since then. But I feel like I finally kind of realized like, all right, that I think that a lot of it was because I was just like putting so much pressure on myself, and now I feel a lot more confident in myself to be able to just like go out and just race, just focus on the race, focus on like doing what I can control and being confident in myself, but not really like thinking so much and putting so much weight on this result goal because I think that's kind of what I had been doing, and so I feel better. Still, obviously, like really want to get back on the podium because that was like such an amazing feeling, and it's been like 3 years now, but don't feel like I need to, and I don't have kind of those same feelings after that one where it's just like this weight on my shoulders, and that's pretty nice to kind of get the monkey off the back, and it will feel really nice to fully get it off my back when I get another podium, because I'm sure that'll
Hmm.
still be like another nice feeling, but also just like feel better. Yeah, kind of focusing on the process and controlling what I can control now.
Yeah. I mean, how, I guess, did you handle that pressure? Like you say that you feel like you're in a better place mentally with the pressure, but how did you work through that over the last few years to get to that point?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, the best thing for me has just been like talking to my sports psychologist. Like she's just insanely helpful, and because there's sometimes just things that I don't even know I'm doing. Uh, like like just when I look back at that day when I got that podium, I had met with her the day before and we talked about just like racing like there's nothing to lose. Just go out, like if you get out in the quarterfinals, sure you're going to be disappointed, but like that's not the end of the world. And that day I just went out and just like pretended like there was nothing to lose. Like I just went for it, and it was awesome. And then the 2 years after that, I just kind of like forgot that motto, and just like every race, I was like, oh, if I don't get on the podium, it's going to be such a bummer. I'm gonna be so disappointed. I was racing kind of like conservative, racing like there was a big risk and like there was something for me to lose. And I was kind of like contained, and it wasn't just like going out and being aggressive. And so, like, we had a great chat this spring where she just kind of reminded me of that. Like, and it's something where, yeah, I didn't even realize that I'd like found this great theme and message and then just forgot it in one day. And so like, yeah, small things like that, just talking it through, writing things down, and like I really like to kind of write down a few things from every race I do. And so I've been trying to get better at that, and kind of like going through and finding common themes, like finding things like that I maybe am doing that I don't even realize I'm doing, like where it's kind of like hurting the performance. So yeah, just positive self-talk and talking it through with someone else like always really helps, I think.
Yeah. Are there any, I guess, like cues or mantras aside from you've got nothing to lose? Do you have anything that you use when you are either training in really hard intervals or in the middle of a race and it is painful and you kind of fall back on that then to get through some of it?
Yeah, I sometimes I like just like pain is temporary. It's kind
Yeah.
of like a kind of for me like a cheesy one, but it just works because it's like sometimes in a race you just need to remember like when I finish this race, it's gonna hurt for a few minutes after, but then I'm just gonna be like totally fine like 10
Hmm.
minutes after. Like I'm not even gonna remember these sensations of like how much my legs hurt or like how heavy I'm breathing right now. And so that's kind of the next one for me when I really just like need to like push through and kind of like, yeah, push through that barrier, um, to just be like, it sucks right now. It's not going to suck in like an hour. So that's one that I really like. Uh, Besides that, just like I think I do this kind of like unintentionally, but I just count like my
Yeah.
strokes, and like uh, that's honestly something I probably should make like more intentional, but it just is kind of something that I just do, that kind of helps, I think. But um, for me, those are kind of the two main ones that I like to have. Besides that, I like to have like kind of new ones for every day. So like I don't have a ton that I like repeat throughout the year, but it's just like depending on the course or where I'm racing, how I'm feeling that day. I do usually write down a few things the night before and try to like find something that resonates with me. It's not always like a motto, maybe it's just like more of a technique thing or something like that. But I like to have like a few things that I really do like say over and over in my head.
Nice, yeah. And then also, if you are going through a period of time where you feel like maybe you need to build yourself up with some confidence or something, is there anything, are there workouts that you depend on where you know, oh, I'll feel really good if I can go crush this workout, or I know it'll be great if I sauna the night before, or whatever it is? Like, is there anything um, that you do, or maybe it's journaling or something like that, right? Anything to make sure that when there are those moments that the course or you like something goes off course and you need to like re-correct, I guess.
For me, those are like, I think, I mean, a nice threshold session always feels nice. Like 60 minutes of threshold just makes me feel confident. We do that like so much during the summer. And I think just kind of like nice controlled, like getting oxygen moving through the body just kind of makes me feel strong, makes me feel better. Like I can work on technique a lot in that 60 minutes. I feel like that's something that helps, but honestly, more so just like, and this is the tough part is like this isn't always possible, but like it's so nice when you're having a tough stretch during a season to just like go out for a long ski, like in the sun, preferably in like Davos,
Yeah.
Switzerland, and like ski up some awesome valley and like do a couple powder turns. And I guess honestly, like since you bring that up, like I need to find something that's better because that is a really nice way to do it, but it's not like something that's in my control. Like I can't always go
Mhm.
out and do a super long fun ski in the sun, but it would be nice to like have something that was a little bit more like I can do this wherever, no matter what time of the year, and just kind of like get some confidence back. And I guess the threshold sort of is that, but um, yeah, I don't know. That makes me think though. I need to figure that out.
Nice. Yeah. Well, okay, so you mentioned the technique in like a threshold session, and that actually brings up a point that I wanted to get to because I know that you and specifically Luke Jager can sometimes lose an afternoon to talking about technique, and you're both really great at getting very focused on certain cues or certain body positions or anything that is related to your technique. And I guess I'm curious, like, is that something that you've always paid a lot of attention to, or what brings like so much of your interest to that specific area of skiing?
Yeah, that's something I've always been really interested in. Just like watching, I just have always really enjoyed like watching videos of people skiing, like the different styles, different techniques, and I feel like I just really enjoy like watching a video of someone when it just looks like they're skiing with like maybe it could even be like unconventional, like not the best technique, but it just looks like they're moving like effortlessly and like moving well. And I think that's something that, yeah, since I was a young kid, I think it kind of stemmed from like when I was younger, I trained with like some older kids, like maybe in an older group, and I just would want to like ski the way that they did. So I would just like ski behind them and just like try to mimic their technique. And I think it just kind of came from like, yeah, wanting to look good while I ski and just like also kind of turned into like, yeah, trying to like get better because it felt like such a not an easy way, but like such a yeah, it's like going back to like things you can control. Like technique is
Mhm.
such a something that you can really work on every single day. Like you're not going to get like you obviously can overthink it, but it's something that you can't really like get too tired of, and the possibilities are endless. Like no one will ever have perfect technique. There's always like more stuff to discover and ways to get better through that. So yeah, I think that it kind of came from that. And for me, like now I just, yeah, enjoy trying to find little ways to like get better and all those different techniques. And yeah, it's really fun. And Luke is a great guy to chat about with it for sure. We've lost an afternoon and on the World Cup doing that. And yeah, with Zach too. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what it was. I just remember camp in Shushan a few years ago,
yeah.
and maybe it was you, Luke, and Zach, and um, I like left for a few hours and came back, and you guys were in the same position, still watching video and talking about it, which is really impressive and probably something that would help my skiing as well. But I don't have the attention span for it, I guess. But it's really cool to see.
Mhm.
Uh, is there one person or one athlete that you like to go back to and watch, or you're like that person has the best technique, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Claybo. I hate myself for
Yeah.
saying it, but like, and I think everyone kind of knows it, but it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many times where I see just like a clip on Instagram of him just skiing, and he just moves so well. Like he's so smooth, and um, like obviously there's things he probably could be doing better. I don't know exactly what they are. Like I'm sure he'll get better. because he has like every single year, it seems like. But just when you watch him ski, like he just moves effortlessly. It looks smooth. It just, yeah, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I feel like it's not a cop out answer at all. It's kind of just facts
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, yeah, it just is the way it is. And I mean, like Sean Ava is like, I like Sean Ava too. Like for skating, like watching him V2 is really awesome. Like he's a little bit different than Clavo. He's kind of more similar to me, which I like. He's like a little bit maybe more powerful and a little slower tempo. But I really like how he moves, like especially V2ing, just super smooth, super powerful.
Yeah. Is there something
Mhm.
like technique wise that has been maybe a really big challenge for you to grasp or that you've been working on for, months, years? Like it's always kind of the weakness that you feel like you have in your technique?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's just skiing bigger. Like I just
Mm.
have whatever over the years built this tendency to ski a bit contained, not really like let my arms go past my hips, not do like complete leg pushes. And so I've just been trying to work on that like a lot these last years. And it's been really cool to see like there has been progress. It started off really slow. Uh, First kind of like came up to Alaska. That was kind of when I first started realizing it, skiing with other college skiers like Norwegians who had really good technique. I realized like, wow, I ski. There's something like kind of missing. Like it's too contained, too careful. And I'm starting to like